Hey bestie, hey boo. Welcome to another edition of the Life Unscripted podcast by Organized Energy. I'm your girl Tiff, and I'm so glad that you are here with me today. I have been thinking about a story. It's a story that I've heard a couple of times, initially as a second grade student in school. And it was presented to our class as a folktale. I happen to really enjoy folktales. I actually enjoy Aesop's fables as well. And I like little stories like that. And even as an adult, I really enjoy children's stories, depending on what they are. Not all of them, but I can usually find some sort of wisdom even from stories that were written for children. Example, I don't know about you, but I know I love the book called The Giving Tree. I mean, there's like so many life principles in The Giving Tree. And if you have not read that one, I encourage you to do so. Then there's like this series of books. They're called like, if you give a mouse a cookie, if you give a pig a pancake, if you give a moose a muffin, blah, 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 blah. I mean, yeah, it was written for kids and it's quite comical. It's cute, but there are principles that you can take from those stories and apply them to life as an adult. And so this particular story is no different. It's called Stone Soup. I don't know if you've ever heard of stone soup, but you can, I'm sure, look it up like on the search engines, your internet search engines, and be able to find it. I know that I have gone to Google even today and found it. Okay, so if you don't know the story, you should get to know the story. But stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this, okay? Because there's some grown-up things that we need to know and glean from this story. And once I tell you the story, I want to know your story as it pertains to this story. You know, how can you relate that in your life and on your journey? So let me tell you the story briefly. Like, I'm not going to tell the whole thing. I'm just going to give you a summary. You'll have to look the story up yourself. But it's called Stone Soup. And in essence, it's like I said, like a folk tale. And basically, there's a man who he's a stranger in town, and he arrives at this small town, and the people in the small town, each household has a little bit. Like, they have just enough, they have a little bit. And they don't share it with each other. And this man arrives and he's really, really hungry. He knocks on a door. A lady answers and he's like, I'm hungry. Can you give me some food? And she's like, no, and shuts the door. And there's more details if you read the book. I'm just really trying to summarize here. She's like, no, shuts the door. He's really, really hungry and desperate, so he decides to knock on her door again. While he's waiting on her to answer, he picks up this large, smooth stone. So she answers the door again, and he asks, hey, I'm hungry. And she's like, I am too. And it's a no, I don't have enough to give you, blah, blah, blah. And he is like, well, you may not have enough, but I can help you make stone soup. Like, I've got this nice smooth stone. And if you just have water and like a pot to boil the water, and, put the stone in it, I can like make a really good stone soup. Like, I'm really good at this. I make a good stone soup all the time. And so the lady was skeptical initially, but then she's like, okay. So she lets the guy in. Mind you, this stone that he brought to her home to contribute was a stone that he picked up while he was out there waiting on her to open the door. Remember that little detail, right? So this joker, he comes in and he's, she, begins to boil the water. He puts the stone in the water and he's like, yeah, we got the water and we got the stone, but it would be like really good if you had some celery. And she's like, well, I do have some celery. So she's like, I'll add the celery. So she adds the celery to the pot with the water and the stone. The husband soon comes home and he's like, what's going on here? And the guy's like, I'm making a stone soup. And he's like, and it would really, really be good. And the husband had just come from the store, first of all. And the guy, the stranger that's coming to town, he's like, it would be really, really good if you had like potatoes and carrots to put in the soup. Like, if you had some potatoes and carrots, this will be a really good soup. You got to trust me. Like, I'm really good at, making this stone soup. So the husband's skeptical, but he adds the potatoes and carrots, at some point. So now they've got the potatoes, the carrots, the celery, the water, the stone. And so things are going pretty good. And now the neighbors are smelling the soup being cooked, from down the road. And so now they're coming knocking on the door. What are y'all cooking over here? And so they're like, we're making stone soup. This gentleman seems to say that he can make a good stone soup. He brought the rock. We got the vegetables and the water and the pot. And he says that he can make a really good stone soup. So the gentleman, the stranger in town, he's like, well, listen, if you all have some some radishes, if you all have some radishes, to add to this soup, like, it would be so, so good. Like, I do this all the time. I know what I'm doing. You should definitely, if you have radishes, like, let's add them to the soup. The neighbors are skeptical, but they go ahead and the neighbors, provided the radishes and they added it to the pot. So before you know it, people are adding this and adding that, and the soup is getting really good. Well, this gentleman, the stranger that came to town, he's eaten pretty good. He's had his full of this particular soup. He's had seconds and thirds, and now he has left town and even took some leftovers with him for his journey. Now, there's two ways to look at the story. Oh, well, wait a minute, let me finish. So the townspeople that have gathered at this house to have this soup, now they're like, now wait a minute. They're like, this dude done got us to put all our stuff in here to make this soup. He only brought a stone. We gave everything to make this soup, and now he's gone. And all he put in was a stone, but he done ate all his food and had extras and even took some with him. Wait a minute. And there's that. So there's two ways to look at this story. One way is they felt swindled. They could have felt swindled because they're like, this dude brought all these ingredients. Brought only a stone. We gave everything and he's gone. He done took what we gave and he is gone with it. Now, I heard a preacher, one of my past pastors, preach about this. He utilized this story in one of his sermons some years ago. And that was the time as an adult that I heard this story. He referenced this story and he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically he's like, you got to watch who you let come to your door and who you let up in your house. And all they want to contribute is something hard. They got to bring more than that to the table. But because some of y'all let somebody bring, all they got to bring is something hard. And they done swindled you out of your carrots, your potatoes, your radishes, your celery, your pot, your pan, your water, your salt, your pepper. You done gave all your ingredients, and all they brought was a stone. So I was like, wow, that was one way to see it. And that is one way to see it, okay? It might be tight, but it is right, okay? Now, the other way to see it, the gentleman before he left and the townspeople were all gathered around and they're like, this soup is really good. And he's like, see what happens when you all pitch in and everybody gives a little bit. Look what you can bring about. Everybody gives a little bit. Everybody puts in what they have. And look, we've got this delicious soup or stew as a result. So the other piece of that is teamwork makes a dream work. You give a little, they give a little, we all put in a little, and look what beautiful thing we can do, what we can create, what change we can make, blah, 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 blah. So there's a couple of ways to look at that story, right? And so my question to you is, I want to know, so what's your story? What's your story? Tell me your stone soup story. How some of these principles or ways we can look at it have been kind of mirrored in your own life as you've been on your path, on your journey. Have you served anybody stone soup? Has anybody served you stone soup? on one way to look at it or the other? And did I miss a way to look at it? Is there another way to look at it? Maybe so. Okay, so let me know that as well. But I would absolutely like to know your iteration of this, your narrative of this stone soup story. And if you've not read it for yourself, look it up online or go to your, however you're going to find it. It's out there. Okay. I do encourage you to read it. And I hope that you also enjoy it and that you glean some wisdom from it as well. And the thing about it is, the reason why I want you to utilize this as a journal prompt, Think about it. I want you to write about it. Write about, a time where you served someone stone soup, meaning, on the one way to see it, persuading somebody to do something that they didn't really want to do. But in hindsight, you done finessed them into doing it. But also, have you been served stone soup? Has somebody finessed you into doing something or giving something that you didn't really realize you was doing until you look back and you like, wait a minute, But then again, like I say, on the other way, everybody putting in a little bit, coming together, making something beautiful. That's another version. That's another way to see it, right? So tell me, journal that, and then write into me and let me know how this a similar scenario has played out in your life, in your story. And then don't stop there. Journal about it. But then I want you to podcast about it. Write a book about it. And I want to help you. That's what I do. I help people create and launch their books and podcasts so that they can use those things as platforms, so they can tell their story. Tell your story. You tell the story. God gets the glory. Other people get blessed. They mess around and get blessed, get helped because you shared what you know. It could be your story. It could be teaching something that you have mastered, something that you're really good at. Either way, we need to hear from you. We want to know what you know because it's going to help somebody, okay? Now, I can help you in multiple ways. I have cohorts, and that's where there's small groups. There are other people who's working on, and anybody can launch a podcast. I ain't say that's hard. I help people to have their podcast operate efficiently as a business entity. How do you monetize it? How do you grow from that? How are you impactful with that platform? How do you help people? How do you walk in your purpose utilizing that platform? How do you run it in a way that it's smoothly ran and it is it's not just something you threw together? And how did you dot all your I's and cross all your T's when it comes to it? So that's what I help with. I help on the business side of it. It's like Business 101 meets how to do a podcast. And I love it. I love helping people tell their stories. I love it. I love helping people help other people with their platforms. And so again, I help you with the podcast, and I can also help coach you with your book, getting your book together. So like I said, the way that I do that is in small groups. Those are cohorts. I also have online, on-demand programming available where you can, pay, and you can do that as you at your own pace, somewhat. And because there is a limited time that you have access to the courses. And I also have books. So if you want to just read it on your own and figure it out on your own, absolutely do that too. Go to the website organizedenergy.co/shop. organizedenergy.co/shop, and then you can get the books. The books are like a business course and a how to do a podcast course all in one, and they are amazing. I suggest the desktop action and accountability tool. You'll see that on there. It looks like a desktop calendar. You flip a page a day kind of thing. Look for that one. That's fire. I love it. But if you're ready to tell your story, if you are ready to use what you have learned along your way on your journey to teach somebody else, share your testimony, share what you know, share what you've experienced, blah, blah, blah. Go to organizedenergy.co/my-story. organizedenergy.co/my-story. And last, I will ask that you will support this platform. It doesn't cost you anything to just hit subscribe and hit that notification bell to like this and comment if it did you any good today, and to share it with somebody. Can you do that? Can you support this platform by simply subscribing and following, hitting the notification bell so that you can be alerted when other episodes and new content is loaded? And can you share it? Can you comment on this and just let us know your experiences with stone soup? And share it with somebody you know. And lastly, if you're part of an organization and you guys put out newsletters to your people, by all means, use this particular content, this episode, share that link in your newsletters so that others can be empowered and they can hear it and be inspired as well. I would absolutely love for you to just kind of help distribute this content so that the word gets carried and people get helped and they are inspired. Would you like to be responsible for doing that? For sharing some sunshine with people? Share this, please. I thank you so much for joining. I hope that you are blessed and you're inspired from this. And I cannot wait to meet you at the next time. All right.